Hey everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi, I hope you're having a great day, weekday, weekend, week, month, evening, overnight, morning, all that good stuff. As you can see, we're out and about today. This is going to be a vlog. I don't know how long. I'm thinking pretty long. Yeah, I have one more errand to run. And then I decided what I'd like to do is take everyone up to my hometown here in Colorado, my old, where I grew up, my old hometown. So just kind of do a little walking tour. I've got Apollo in the back, so he's going to come with us. But I needed to get him out and get some walks in and get some exercise out. And I was like, well, might as well just walk around town. It's something I've been wanting to do on the channel for a little bit. So today's the day. I tried calling my mom to see if she was available to meet up for lunch or dinner, but I haven't heard back. So if she does call back, then I might swing by and say hi to her before we start our tour. Otherwise, I might do the tour and then just go knock on her door. Come and knock on my door. So yeah, that's what's gonna happen. I hope you're doing well. I'll probably just do a little bit of in-car chat. Actually, I want to stop and get coffee. I don't have anything with me. I'm going to stop and get coffee, and then maybe I'll come back on and chat with you just about some diamond painting stuff, updates, all that, all that jazzy, snazzy stuff. And what else? And then I'll probably pause you because we've got about a 45-minute drive to Platteville from where I currently live. So I'll probably just pause you while we get up there and then I find a good starting point. But we're literally we'll probably walk majority of it, walk the town. So it might be me pausing and then I'll film as I'm film with no audio. I don't know. I'm going to edit it that way it's not super insane, but it's a small enough town that it's pretty walkable. I might have to drive to a couple of places, but overall we'll just walk. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun just to kind of, I haven't done it in a while. It's been actually a couple of years since we have gotten together as like a big family, even with family out of town, and we usually will do a little driving tour around my hometown and be like, oh, there's that, and it's been a minute since we've done that. So I'm doing it solo, but I figured I'd share it with you guys. If I can think of any stories and stuff, I absolutely will. And I'm curious to see if some of the stuff is still there. I'm sure it is. It's not like it's been decades since I've been there, but it's been a minute since I've like driven to like our old homes and stuff that we lived at. And like, I wonder if they like rebuilt them or remodeled anything since we've moved. So yeah, or since I've moved. So anyway, what else? I don't know what else is going on. It's been quite a weekend as far as like diamond painting stuff goes. I've been really I was pushing to get as much of Marie Laveau done as possible so I could have a progress photo on Instagram. And then I also was pushing to get to, I got to 36% done of Head of Medusa, or a little bit past that. Maybe I'm closer to like 38 now, I'm not sure. But I pushed to get basically the bottom third band of the entire kit done, to have that as a like milestone progress update. And it was the 1 month mark since I started, so I wanted to get that all done. So I've been diamond painting pretty hard the past couple of nights, even though I still went out to dinner and karaoke with some friends, went to dinner with some friends that I hadn't seen in a while. So I've been trying to do that stuff and then get home and I'm like, okay, let's get placing. So but I hit both of those. I got I got a good section done of Marie Laveau and enough to do another post, and I hit my 30% whatever milestone for for Head of Medusa. So I'm on track for what I want to get done this month. I'm hoping to finish Marie Laveau within the next week. That way I have 2 full weeks to work on Polani. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish Polani, but I'm going to try my darndest. Marie Laveau is just going really fast because it's a lot of color blocking, so it's just moving really quickly. I don't know if there was as much color blocking in Polani, so it might just take some more time. And I'm trying to crank through Head of Medusa. It took me a month to get 1/3 of the way done, so I'm like, okay, well, that means you probably won't be done until like the beginning of April. I didn't want it to take that long, but if it has to, it has to. I just was hoping to have it done ideally by the end of this month. That's just silly. Well, I think in my last video I was like maybe 50% or maybe 60, 70, 80, and then I was like, if I really push for it, but that's just insane. I'd have to be spending twice as much time diamond painting as I did this month around that kit, and that's just not practical. So I did not stop to get coffee. There is a coffee shop. So the other errand that we have to run is Apollo has been, let me take this headphone out because I hate having it in while I'm driving. So let me get this out and I'll be right back. Okie dokie. So this might look a little deja vu. I was on the highway when I turned you off to take out my headphones, and now I'm back over by the house. Well, I realized that I forgot my little outdoor mic with the dead cat on it, and we're gonna be outside filming for the majority of this video, so I was like, I'm close enough to the house that I could just flip around, so that's what I did. I flipped around. Still didn't get coffee. I'm gonna just do that. So going back to what got me off on the tangent of coffee and this and that is, we had just left earlier. We were leaving the pet food store that I take Apollo to most frequently. It's not too far from the house. They have a lot of the good brands that are a lot of the good food, and that's where I get his raw bones. And then this is the bone broth that I get him from Open Farm, and they just started carrying these big Tetra packs again. For a few months it felt like they were only doing these small pouches, and the small pouches just aren't nearly as what's going on over there, aren't nearly as cost effective. So I was bummed that I had to keep buying those, and for a while I even stopped buying bone broth altogether just because it just didn't make sense. These are a little more than double the size of 2 of the packs, and I think one pack was like $8, and these are 12. So I was spending over twice as much for the same amount, right? So it would be like 16 to 18 bucks for the same amount, and this is 12, so not twice as much, but you get it. It's still, especially when I'm buying like 2 or 3 at a time, because I put bone broth in not every one of Apollo's meals, but almost every one. So anyway, well, we were there getting bone broth, and Apollo, I switched him to a different dog food called Acana, and he's been on that for a couple of weeks now, and it's been hard to get him to eat it. He doesn't really like it that much. So at first he was eating it like normal, but then he'd like stop mid-meal and then come finish it a little bit later, and that's fine unless it's a morning where I have to go into the office, because usually I'm feeding him and getting ready to go and all that stuff, and I don't have time for him to leave it for an hour or 2 and then come finish it. Like usually he eats his bowl of food and then I can take him for a short walk, we go potty, and then he gets put in his crate for the day. But if he only eats like a part of his breakfast or no breakfast, then he's not eating again until I get off of work at like 3. So it doesn't really work for me on those days for him to be like a just pick at his food kind of eater. And in addition to that, I put the bone broth on his food. so his food is wet, so it's not like it just is dry dog food sitting in the bowl. And he usually gets a topper with some raw, freeze-dried raw food, just for some extra protein. And so if I leave that in the bowl soaking, it just gets nasty really quick. So that's not really an option either, is to just leave it for him. And I don't want to leave food in his crate or anything like that. So I didn't know it was a can of food right away. I was like, okay, maybe it's one of the other things that I give him. I mean, he gets a lot. He gets these green-lipped mussels, which is supposed to be good for their joints. He gets a powdered version of that. He has they're called bonito flakes. It's like dried fish flakes. They're mainly used as cat treats, but it's pet treats, and it's just papery, wafery, like tissue paper thin fish. So I just kind of crush those up like little flakes. It's almost like fish food, kind of. And I sprinkle that on his kibble with the mussels, and then he also has these sprouted seeds. I've been feeding him those since I got him as a puppy. It's supposed to help with digestion. It's got a lot of probiotics. It's good for gut health. And so he gets a little sprinkle of that, and then I shake up the kibble so it gets coated and all the stuff, and then I'll put some freeze-dried raw if I have it, or I'll just put the bone broth on that. And so that's usually what he gets. Not every meal, and it's not always all of that stuff together. It's like, all right, well, for breakfast I'll put a little bonito flakes, and then for lunch you'll get a little bit of your green mussel, and then dinner we'll throw some bone broth on there, and some of the freeze-dried raw, like whatever it ends up being. So he wasn't eating his food for a couple of days, and he'll eat it eventually, but he like eats it slow, and he like, I stood in the room, I was like, maybe he just like wants me there, because usually I put his food down in the kitchen and then I walk away. I was like, maybe he just maybe he's just like lonely or just wants me there. I don't know. I was just trying to like troubleshoot. So I stood in the kitchen while he was eating, and he'd take a couple bites and then turn and look at me like, are you really gonna make me eat this? And then eventually he just wasn't eating it. So now I've been separating it. So I'll put his kibble and everything in. This is so wild, the steps that I go through now that I talk it through. So his kibble and anything dry, the sprouted seeds, the green-lipped mussel stuff, I'll put that in a bowl. And then in a separate bowl, I do the freeze-dried raw, which has to be wet. You have to get that wet so it kind of reconstitutes, essentially. And then I'll put that with some bone broth and let it sit for a few minutes so it softens up. And that's in a separate bowl. So I put those down, and he likes the freeze-dried raw. He likes the bone broth. It's just the kibble he's not really into. And so I have to kind of like trick him. So he'll start lapping up like the soupy bone broth freeze-dried meat. And then I take the bowl and I dump a bunch of it, not all of it, but a good portion of it over the kibble to be like, see, connect the dots. You like this? Now the thing you like is in here. So he'll finish eating the little residue that's in the bowl, and then he'll start eating his kibble, because I kind of tricked him into like visually seeing me put the good stuff on top of the stuff he doesn't like. And that's how I've been getting him to eat his food. But it's just such an extra process. I just need to find something he likes. And I know which brand he really likes. It's just so darn expensive. It's the most expensive food that I've seen out there, unless you go completely raw. And it's called Carnivore. And they don't use any synthetic vitamins and minerals. They meet all of the AFCO or the standards for what needs to be in a dog food and exceed them well above. But they do it without any synthetic additives or supplements or anything. And they don't spray the dog food with like vitamins and stuff. It all comes from the food that's in there. There's like broccoli and all sorts of stuff, and they bake their stuff instead of like heat it or extrude it. So it's just supposed to be, their marketing is it's the closest to raw without actually being raw. And all things considered, even though it is very expensive kibble, it's still cheaper from what I've seen than doing raw. I looked into starting Apollo on a raw food delivery service, or just getting it from the food store. So it's frozen meals. They meet all of the requirements, the standards for the vitamins and minerals and protein and fat, everything that your dog needs, which I like, because I'd rather let somebody else figure that out for me than trying to be like, okay, how much potassium does he need and where can I get that, and measuring it all. So I tried looking that up, and it ended up with the amount that he eats. It's it's between $125 and $175 per week to get as much frozen raw meat meals as I would need for him at his size. So I'm just like, okay, I guess spending that much a month on that fancy kibble is not, I don't know, it's still a lot, it's still expensive. But anyway, just trying to, I think I've mentioned this in so many videos when we talk about Apollo's dog food, but just trying to find something that he likes. And I'm bummed that this Acana, and it's not even that, it's trying to give him the best that I can with the time that I have, and all of that stuff. I'd love to sit down and put together like a full, complete raw diet for him and get all that stuff done, but it's a lot, and especially on days when I am in office, I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it, and maybe I just don't trust myself to make sure that I'm like, okay, he needs X amount of iron, this amount of milligrams of iron, so I've got to figure out what foods I can give him at what quantities. And does it have to be raw? Does it need to be steamed? Does it, there's so much that goes into pet nutrition that you have to really know what you're doing to make sure that you're giving them all that they need. And sure, you could be missing some stuff here and there, or not giving them quite as much as they need, and the dog's going to be a happy dog, but I don't know. It freaks me out. I don't trust myself enough. I know other people do it, and I've seen tons of YouTube channels. I mean, it's a big thing. Like, feeding your dog raw diet is a big thing. But if I was to do it, I would put my trust in like Open Farm, or there's a lot of brands that have some good raw meals. They're just very expensive. So, but he is getting that raw food as like sprinkled on top of his meals, and it's from this brand called, I think it's called Steve's. And it's one of the highest protein foods, like freeze-dried raw foods that I've seen. And that runs, somewhere in the $30 range, and it makes 5 pounds of food. So once you've incorporated the water and let it soak, it's the equivalent of 5 pounds of food. But that's still, that's pricey. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with just using that as just like a little booster to give him a little bit more protein. And then stick with a high protein kibble. So anyway, I'm sure you were just dying to know all that. But we're going to stop at the pet store on the way up. That is one of the few in Colorado that carries carnivore just on the shelf without having to special order it. I can get it at the place by my house, but I have to pre-order it, give them a couple of weeks notice, and then they just have you pay half up front and then the rest when you go to pick it up. But because he's just struggling to eat this dog food right now, it's like, it's on the way up to Platteville. Let me stop at this pet store and see if they have any in stock and get him set up. So, oh my gosh, he looks sad. I wonder what his deal is. Poor thing. He's probably just like, let me go run. What's the matter, baby? What's the matter? He's holding my hand. Are you okay? It's okay? It's like, this is too bouncy. Where are you taking us? And I also think he thinks that we're going to the where, the outside running area. I think he thinks that's where we're going, because that's usually where we've been going every time I put him in the car. just because, well, the weather has warmed up this weekend, but the past couple weekends it's just been bitter cold, snowy. So we haven't been doing a lot of hikes and stuff. I just take him to the to the to the outdoor running area. He knows that word now. I don't know if it's the dog of it all or the place of it all, but he knows. He'll start panting like, okay, it's happening. But I'm hoping that the walk around Platteville will be enough for him, and if not, then we'll stop at that place on the way home. So yeah, we're gonna go to this pet store because I can get the food in my hand today. I don't have to wait a couple weeks because he is eating, but I have to like coerce him and trick him to eat the food that he doesn't like. And so what I think I'll do, because I have about half a bag of that left, is I'm gonna get this other food, which like I said, I know he loves. I mean, it smells, I'm sorry, it's dog food, so you might get grossed out right now, but it smells so good. It smells like peanut butter, like cookies. It smells so good. And the sprouted seeds that I give him are from that same brand, and those are human grade, like ground sprouted seeds. So they use them in like the owners of the company use them in their cooking and baking. They make smoothies with it. It's supposed to be really good for digestion. I tried it, and I didn't notice any like incredible differences, but it does taste very nutty and kind of seedy. Like it doesn't taste great. And I was literally putting it in straight up water, like a little like glass, just like a spoonful of it in water, and just like bottoms up. I wasn't a fan, and I didn't think it was like doing that much. Maybe I needed to give it more time, but also I was like, why am I trying to like, I don't need this, and it's for Apollo. Why am I doing this? So I stopped doing it. I was like, I didn't know it wasn't a miracle supplement for me, but I think if it is good for you. It's good to have those live bacteria. So we'll let Apollo have that. So yeah, it's from that same company, and I know it's his favorite food that he's had so far, but I only got one bag of it for him just the one time. And I was like, if he's gonna get the same nutrition, like I'm not someone that's trying to like take my dog off of like synthetic supplements and vitamins and minerals, because it's in pretty much all dog food, and there's just a few brands that do it this way. I'm not trying. That's not really my concern. My main concern is like, is it something that he's gonna be excited to eat, and it's giving him everything that he needs, with minimizing the amount of stuff he doesn't. So it's not really about the synthetics. It's more about like, I want his protein to come from meat as opposed to like peas or that type of thing, like animal protein. Minimize the amount of grains and like filler stuff that could be in there. And if there are grains, they're like intentional. It's not just like, just to bump up the percentages and stuff. No corn, added sugars, that type of thing. So I try to keep it as clean as possible, but I still haven't done the raw diet yet. I haven't completely gone into that. But who knows, maybe at some point in the future I'll decide that we do have the time for it and I can afford it, and I'll give it a shot. But like I said, I just have to make sure that he's getting all the nutrients that he needs. So we'll see. But yeah, he's doing really good. We have just been doing some walks around the neighborhood, and then yesterday we did dog park, which was good, and we might go back there today. So yeah, we're having a good time. We were sleeping, and my new favorite thing, well, it's been my favorite thing for a while, but I just love it so much when in the morning, he is the cutest when he first wakes up. That's like the cutest time for him throughout the day. What is this? Painted Tree Boutiques, gifts, decor, fashion. That's new. Um, he sleeps on the floor. He'll come to bed with me at night and he'll sleep with me for a little while, but then he gets hot and he sleeps on the floor. But then in the morning, he likes to come up and sleep with me, lay in bed with me in the morning. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is like, Apollo, Apollo. And he gets up from the floor and jumps into bed. And his little look, his eyes are all just like kind of like halfway shut. And he's just got this kind of like out of it look. And he's just like half asleep. Like I've never seen a dog look so like groggy from being woken up. Like he just like, it takes him a minute to like get going, and so he's just like, what and then he puts his two legs out in front of him, and usually like on my chest or something, and does like a big old stretch. He's like, ugh, and then lays down. I'm like, you're such an old soul. Just like groaning, like, oh god, this again. I'm just like, oh my god. And then he'll pop down, kind of like put his head right in my armpit, and he's extra lovable because he's like just like sleepy. He's just so cute in the mornings. So yeah, we've been sleeping in a little bit on the weekends because I'm just like, I just want to cuddle with you and hang out. So, and then he'll let me know like, it's time to go to the bathroom, I need my breakfast, we got to get our day started. So he's good. But we just got off the exit here to go to the other specialty pet store so I can grab this this fancy dog food from. I hope they have it in stock. If they don't and they have just a small bag that's enough to get me by like a week or so, then that'll at least give me time to place that order with the place that's actually close to my house, so we can get that in. I'm curious to know, because the prices have just been ticking up on this specialty dog food from all brands. Like there's one called Essence that I was trying to get for him for a while, but they just were out of stock. They finally got it back in stock, so I went and got a bag of it. And the price between when they had stopped selling or when they ran out to when they launched again, the price was up like another $15-20. Because the reason I was getting that one is because it had similar protein content to this carnivore, but it was way cheaper, and now the price is not that different. So I'm just gonna get the expensive stuff and not let it. I know that it's the best that I can purchase for him, but it just, seeing that price the last time I got it, was like, ugh. And now I'm wondering if it's even more expensive now. But gotta have a happy, healthy puppy. So anyway, I hope I don't get like totally like, I just worry that people are gonna be like, you don't need to give him all that stuff. I give my dog XYZ, or have you ever heard of Kibbles and Bits? It's $3.99 or whatever. I don't know. Everyone makes their own choices with what they want to, give to their animal. And if you've got a happy, healthy dog, then I'm not judging anyone. I do a lot of research into most everything I buy, and this just happened to be one thing that I was really obsessed with. Is like, I do want the convenience of like having a kibble or something, but I know a lot of them are not ideal for dogs. So how do I bridge that gap? Like, what's the best thing that I can give him while still being able to, be a little lazy, I guess? I don't know. And then also, once again, I don't trust myself with like the portioning of nutrients and vitamins and stuff to go fully raw, because I probably would like that. I would love doing meal prep for Apollo like a couple times a week, and like chopping up the fresh chicken and put this and that, but I don't know what, like, it might all look pretty and it might be stuff that dogs will eat, but it's like, is this giving him enough calcium or iron or like all? Yeah, it just, that freaks me out. So I think we're doing okay. He seems all right. no complaints except for this a can of food. He's just like literally choking it down. Yeah. He's like, can we get to where we're going? We still have like, from where we are now, probably a 35-minute drive, so I might have to let him, he'll come with me into the dog store. And maybe I'll get him a little toy or something, because I don't think he has any toys back there. I am striking out today. I'm sorry, Apollo. Okay, so we just pulled into the parking lot. We're gonna bop over here and get some food and probably a little chew toy or something. I don't think I'm gonna get you back on, because this is all just gonna be highway. I don't think I'm gonna get you back on until we get to town. So I will see you in the next clip and we will start our little walking tour. Okay, bye. Hello. Ooh, that sun is giving off quite the glare. Okay, so we went and got that dog food, and so now my bank account is like, ugh, but that's okay. We got the dog food, and now we're in Platteville. So my hometown is Platteville, Colorado. It's where I grew up. It's not where, people say, where were you born? I was born in Denver at a hospital in Denver, but this is where I spent the majority of my childhood. We moved around a lot. Not a lot, but I spent some time at my very early childhood in California. We spent a year in Indiana, different places in Colorado, Longmont, Boulder, but we always ended up back in like Platteville. So I'm actually just pulling up to my mom's house, which was originally my grandparents' house, but when they passed away, my mom got the house. So we're just pulling into the driveway now. So I'm going to say hi to my mom. I just called her. So I'm going to say hi to her, and then I'll walk you around this little neighborhood, show you the house and stuff, and then we'll go to some other highlights, okay? Bye. So welcome to Platteville. So this is my family's home. Was my grandparents' home, and now my mom lives here. So they bought it brand new in, I think, like the early 70s, I want to say, maybe late 70s. I'm not sure, but this used to be all grass, and there was a big tree right there. My grandpa was an avid gardener. So behind those like tractor wheel thingies, there was a huge garden, and then in that thing there was a garden bed. But this is the street I grew up on, playing down this street. There's a little cul-de-sac down that way, but yeah, I hope the mic is picking everything up okay. I've got the wind mic on, but if you go this way, you head out of town. This is kind of the main drag here. This is Main Street. And then you can see here on the property, so this was all used to be a wooden fence, but then they put this fence in. And then my grandpa, when my grandmother started having trouble walking, he built this really elaborate ramp / deck down. So eventually that's going to get torn down, I think. And then he had his working table right here. He and I used to clean fish after we came back from fishing. We'd clean the fish there, and then this was another garden. And then that stone thing right there, there's actually a grill on the other side. So he built a grill. And then there's his shed where he would do all of his handiwork stuff, a lot of tools in there. And there used to be a Space Invaders coin machine there, or in there, that he got. I don't know where he got it. It was like the arcade game. And so it took real quarters, and so, sorry, it's ice, sorry. Took real quarters, so he would give me quarters, and then he'd open it up and get the quarters out again. So yeah, and that shed. But here's the backyard. Here's another little storage shed. And then here is like the bank in town. There's a second bank, but That was the bank in town that my grandparents used to belong to. But we're gonna walk over to the elementary school. That'll be the first clip. I've got Apollo with me here. And then we're gonna walk over to the middle school. And then I'll probably walk back, get the car, and we'll drive into town. And I'll walk you around downtown. I'm just gonna try to cover as much as I can. It's very awkward filming, but this is the bank parking lot. I learned how to ride a bike here. And then this Commons place over here, there's like a Subway and stuff that used to not be here when I grew up. They built it like 10 years ago. And the same with that gas station off in the distance, that's new. And then this dollar store. But here's the elementary school right here, Platteville Elementary. This is where I went to elementary school. So let's walk around there and then walk down to the middle school. See, Apollo's never seen any of this too. Hey, buddy. He hasn't really learned crosswalks too much. And this used to not be a light. It used to just be a stop sign. And there's like semis and stuff that come through here. So you can only imagine how dangerous it was. But now they have an actual cross light. This is like the first set of lights in town, or one of the first. And then there's that set of lights down there is the other set. And I think there's one more now. So there's like 3 sets of stoplights in the whole town. So they're really making it happen for themselves. So yeah, let's see if we get a cross sign here at some point. My mom was like, do you want Subway? The boys are gonna go get Subway. And I was like, no, I'm okay. And so I think my brother might be walking out from the house at any moment to come over to Subway. It's not giving us the walk. Let's just go. There's literally no one here. Okay. Apollo, don't tell anyone. Okay. All right. So we're going to walk a little bit further down and then cross again. But yeah, this is kind of weird. Okay, so this is the elementary school. This is where I went to elementary school. So when I was a kid, you can see in the middle there, see how this is like a light gray brick and then it gets to like red and then light gray again. So when I was a kid, that middle part was not there. It was a big courtyard, and then the entrance to the school was further back. And it was a big courtyard. So I remember playing in the courtyard and they had tables and stuff. But as the town grew in recent years, I mean, not recent, they did that when I was in like high school. They filled in that middle piece. They filled in that middle piece with now the libraries in there and stuff. And you can also see back there that little pop-up. That's the new gym. The original gym was here up in the front. So they've like really expanded. And yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to the middle school. It's only a block away, but I ended up in high school. My very first job was as a janitor. And so I would clean the elementary school, or help clean the elementary school, and then we'd have to go to the middle school. So I'd get bused from the high school back down here. They'd drop us off at the middle school, and then I'd walk over here to the elementary school, clean floors, toilets, all that stuff, and then after I was done, I'd finish over in the middle school, which we'll get to. But first, this is, I don't remember the name of this park, but this is, I'm just going to call it Platteville Park. But this is one of the 2 major quote-unquote parks in the town. So this is where they would host a lot of like the annual celebrations. They do a thing around 4th of July called Harvest Days. It's kind of like to celebrate the fall harvest. And so they set up booths. They still do it. They set up booths and have different activities and stuff out here. And then this is the skate park. It used to be fenced in, but they took the fencing down. This is a little baby skate park that I remember coming and hanging out at. They built that in like, I'd say when I was in middle school or high school, they put that together. There's no year on the plaque, but Daniel Romero Memorial Skate Park. So yeah, this is it. This is the park that I used to, one of the parks I used to play in a ton as a kid. When I was first growing up, or when I was really young, my mom rented an apartment in those apartment buildings back there. Can't remember if it's those ones or those ones, but we only lived there for a short time. I don't even remember. It was when I was very, very young. There's one of the churches there, and then there was another one back there. This is a very church-heavy town. But here's the middle school, right here. South Valley Middle School. So that's where I went to middle school. Let's go this way, Apollo. Trying to get him some good walks in. Say hi, Bubba. I'm waiting for him to go potty because perfect timing as I say it. Hold on just a second. Okay, I was saying, kind of was hoping he'd go potty because he didn't go this morning, and then he didn't when I let him out to go potty at the pet store. He didn't go. He didn't do everything I wanted him to do, and I was like, oh no, is your stomach upset? But he just did what I needed him to do. So. South Valley Middle School, Spelling Bee, February 7th. So this is the middle school that I went to. Let's cross the street. Yeah, let's cross the street. Apollo, this way. So like I said, we're still walking down Main Street here. I don't mind if you get wet. It's okay. Splash, splash, splash. So yeah, this is the middle school. It used to be, from what I understand, way back in the day, this was the high school, and so it was elementary school was like elementary through middle, and then you came to the high school. And Platteville is kind of one of a trio of towns that runs up and down the highway. So you have Platteville, Gilchrist, and then LaSalle. And at a certain point, there's a dog inside the middle school. At a certain point, they all had their own high schools and stuff, like all three individually, and they decided to combine them. So Gilchrist has an elementary school through middle school, and then has the high school for all three towns. And then the two towns each town on either side, which is Platteville and LaSalle, have an elementary school, middle school, and that's it. And then everyone gets bussed into the high school. So this was where I was listening to a lot of Missy Elliott and Aaliyah, and yeah, hung out right here in this little courtyard, mainly kind of over there on the asphalt. We'll walk over there. Oh my gosh, I haven't been, I swear to you, I have not walked over here since I finished high school, because they would bus us in from the high school. Pickup was right here, so the buses pull up right here, and you'd line up down this, and they pick you up right at the end of this corridor is where we get dropped off. So even when I was in high school, you kind of started and ended your day at the middle school. But yeah, I hung out a lot right there in that corner. So just imagine me in some ill-fitting Jinko jeans and a Tommy Hilfiger shirt standing right there. And then if you come around here, it loops back to where we would play football, because I was in football in 8th grade and my freshman year. Unfortunately, dark times. So yeah. And then this is the back of the theater. This is the other side of the theater. And then the gym is kind of connected to it. And here's the football field, and the baseball and stuff. So the gym is kind of like right down there. So South Valley Middle School. This is where I would spend my days, most of my days. I learned how to drive down this street here, especially in the snow. My stepdad would make me see how it just runs through the town. So this isn't the main street, but it's like the second longest drag. My stepdad would make me drive through the snow, and then I'd have to like brake really hard and then recover, and that was terrifying. But he had a white Jeep Cherokee at the time, and I remember that we'd get in the car and I'd just be like white knuckling it. And then my mom was so terrible. She hated driving with me and she was so scared. So then she would like psych me out essentially. So then when I'd go to drive with him, he's like, "Why are you so nervous?" And I'm like, "Because mom's literally like shaking and grabbing me every time we get to an intersection." And so after a while, he was the only one that taught me. She gave up because she was like, "It's not that you're doing bad, it's just so scary." I'm like, "Okay." Come on, baby. And this is Apollo's first time. He went to my mom's house one other time when I first got him in, like June, and I haven't brought him over since. So this was his first time hanging out with my mom, and my brothers were there, and her dog was there, and he's like a tiny, I don't know what he is. He's like one of those hypoallergenic fancy dogs. I forget which breed, but he's very cute. But he was like not having it. He's like, "Who is this stranger in my house?" So I think we might just end up walking the whole thing. I needed to get outside. So yeah, because like I could have gotten my car to go to the next part, but I would ride my bike and walk around here like this all day, all summer. This was like one of our main streets that we'd walk on because it got us around town. You can see the town kind of goes all the way down there. So we'll head that way, and then I'll probably walk back to my mom's house because I want to show you the inside of the DoubleTree if they're open. That is one of the restaurants in town, and it's like one of the longest standing restaurants, or it might be the longest standing restaurant in town. And things have definitely changed a lot, at least when I went there. Oh God, it's been years, a few years since I've been there, but it's changed a lot since like when I was a kid. It's changed hands a number of times, but in the front is kind of like a kind of diner style, like breakfast greasy spoon kind of diner style with the soda shop kind of counter. At least it used to have that. And then in the back is the actual dining room, and then even further back is like the dive bar portion. So it's like truckers and families getting breakfast up front, families getting lunch and dinner in the middle, when it switches over to lunchtime. And then it's like a sports dive bar, like biker bar kind of thing in the back. It's a really unique place. And they used to have a lot of mannequins dressed up in pioneer outfits and taxidermied animals. I don't know if they have any of that anymore, but I want to go there and get a little bite to eat and take pictures to show you. I actually worked there as my second job. I worked as a busser at the DoubleTree for a summer. I don't know what that is. Come on. So yeah, what else? One of my mom's, I don't think it's this street. I think we passed it, but one of my mom's good friends lives on one of these blocks here. And then I don't know if we'll see it from this side. Maybe on the way back. There's like a couple of like quote unquote fancy houses in town. One of them was this girl that went to high school with me. Her family sold a bunch of their land and they built a subdivision on it, and actually used to live in that subdivision, but they built a big old house. With the sale of their property, they were able to build like the biggest of them all. I don't know if we'll get to see that, but there's that house. And then another person that I went to high school with, his family had this really cool older house here in town, and it was the only house with a pool. It's an indoor heated pool. And I remember only going over there to swim at his house a couple of times because we weren't the closest of friends, But yeah, it's interesting. I think back on it, and one of the things that I never really
was keen on or observant on. I'm still am, but was very naive. Is the fact that I was one of the very few, if not the only, black person in my grade or in my school or in the town even. There maybe was like, a family that would move in for like a year or two, but I always was kind of the only one. This town is predominantly white and Hispanic, so I think it helped that, I was raised, my mom's Hispanic, my dad's black, and I was raised under a Hispanic or Mexican household. So my grandfather and grandmother, that's the life I was raised into. So Apollo. So it definitely kind of, I think that helped provide a little bit of a buffer for me. But I always would I don't know, there'd be times in my life where I'd develop a friendship with a kid at school, just to be completely honest, one of the white kids at school, I'd befriend them, and then we'd get become friends enough where it's like, oh, I'll invite you over to my house. And there, not all the time, but there was a couple of times where the interaction at their house would be awkward. Like their parents, I don't know, maybe just felt uncomfortable having me there, or didn't realize my race until I showed up at their door. I don't know, but there was a couple of times where I just never, I didn't put my finger on it at the time, but I didn't feel super welcome, It was just kind of awkward. But I don't know if that's a me thing or that was just me feeling that in the air. I don't know, it's interesting. But my mom and whole family was always very, sheltered me from a lot of that stuff, and I never felt particularly discriminated against or ostracized or anything like that. I feel like I had a really nice childhood, but I feel like I had a lot of family around me that was kind of deflecting some stuff from time to time. But anyway, we're getting up here. There's some folks up here, so I'm going to stop for a minute. This is one of the auto repair, trucking and scrapping places here in town. So hold on just a second. I'm going to pause. Okie dokie. So I couldn't walk into the front of it. There was people standing outside, but this house right here is where my aunt used to live when we were really young. And so I would come over here, where that backyard is. I'd come over here to do sleepovers and stuff. So a lot of good memories there. And right where that white truck is, kind of just in front of that little yard there, that's where we would do Barbie Olympics. So in the summers when I'd stay the night over there, me and my two cousins, they had like an inflatable pool, so we would get the pool and get the Barbies and make them do flips into the pool and dives and synchronized swimming and stuff. So there's that. And then up here, let's go this way first. We're gonna take a left and then loop back around. This house is new. That's nice. That house is new. So, like I said, we kind of lived here and there. Apollo. Okay, just go for it. Oh my God. Oh, good thing I wore my boots today. So like I said, we lived in Platteville and then in Boulder and then Platteville and then Indiana and then Platteville. So we lived in a bunch of different houses, kind of rented all around town. And this house coming up here on the left is where I spent ages I think 11 through maybe 15, 16. So this is it, this house right here. We rented this out. It looked a lot nicer when we lived here, and this fence was not there. It was completely open, and it's a massive yard. Big old yard. I remember going to get milk for my mom and pulling up right up this driveway here. Once again, there was no fence, and right as I got to the back there, I slipped and fell, and the gallon of milk, because I had it like on the handlebars, just exploded. And she was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "I'm so sorry." I was all scraped up. That's also the house that one side of it's a white house, so on one wall, in that big yard when we were kids during the summer, my stepdad worked for a company that did projectors, and so they would hang a sheet on the wall outside, get the projector set up outside, and we'd do movie nights on the white screen outside. And my mom even had one of those big popcorn things that you see in like pictures of county fairs or whatever, the popcorn thing on wheels. She would wheel it out there and we'd do popcorn. So yeah, so we're coming up to kind of what I used to consider the edge of town as a kid. This is kind of like as far as I would go. We had one family friend that lived beyond this. Come on, buddy, let's go. We had one family friend that lived beyond that, and I remember in high school, that was the family friend. So they lived in those houses kind of back there in the corner. That family friend was the one that was like really into like burning music off of like LimeWire and Napster and stuff. So we'd always go over to their house with like a stack of blank CDs and just sit there for hours just stealing music. I think I was in like 9th grade when we did that. And then once I got my first iPod, I would always just ask for iTunes gift certificates, and that's how I got my music, is like paying for it. But I probably still have some of those CDs sitting around. Those were the days. This is like a little trailer park kind of situation over here. I had a number of friends that lived in there. I didn't really hang out in there too much, just because I had so many cousins that while I did have some like school friends here and there, the majority of my like extracurricular and outside time was spent with cousins and family members. I mean, I think there was like 9 of us total, and the majority of us lived here in town or 2 towns over in LaSalle. So I like I said, I had friends, but like not too many sleepovers. It was like almost every weekend was like, okay, well, you're going and staying with your aunt, or Paul and Cassandra are coming over this weekend, so think about what you guys want to do. Like, we didn't have an opportunity to do a lot of friend overnights. So yeah, let's see. This is Elizabeth. We can maybe turn here and then kind of snake down again. So right there up ahead at that street, that's like kind of another boundary of town. It goes past that once again, and things have grown, but we've kind of walked like the majority of it. It's kind of like an L shape. So this is kind of the bottom part of the L. I don't know how to describe it. Come on, buddy, this way. This way. He's like, what is going on? So you can see that like grain silo kind of place at the very end of the block. That is where the highway is. So that's kind of the end of town. So like I said, we're coming down the long way of the L, and then it turns up Main Street to where my grandparents or my mom's house is. So yeah, this is it. There's a couple more spots I want to show you. Let's see. I want to take you to the church that I used to go to as a child. Did my baptism there, first communion, confirmation, all that stuff. We were raised Catholic. So I want to take you by there, take you by the library, the other park, and then I think that's it. Oh, there's one other house that, technically two more, but we don't have to do all of them. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even remember it because it was a bunch of townhouses. I probably couldn't remember which one it was. But there's one other house that we lived at that I want to show you. But as you can see, it's a pretty sleepy little place. Other than all the dogs, which Apollo's like, what's happening? But it's kind of a quiet town. It's kind of like a town that I think really developed because of the railroad system. The railroad runs right through here, and so that's what my grandfather moved here for, is for work, and he worked on the railroad I think for a little over 30 years. He retired from Union Pacific when I was in my teens, like early teens. And so, yeah, and he met my grandmother at a dance. I don't know if it was here in town, but he met her at a dance. So that's how they found each other. And then they had a little teensy house here in town for the first few kids. And then they moved into that other one in the 70s. But my mom always points that house out. I don't even remember which street it's off of. But she's like, can you imagine all 5 of us or whatever, or 6 of us crammed into that shoebox? I'm like, no, I cannot. That does not sound like fun. She's like, so when we moved into this house, it was like big time, you know, like there was 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms in there, and they had 8 kids, but I think some were already out of the house by the time they moved in there. So I think there was maybe like 6 of them. So it was like 2 to a room, 2 to a room, until more started moving out. And yeah, I remember growing up and thinking that house was so big, and like we just had all the space in the world to play. Sorry. And now it just feels so small when I go in the basement. I'm like, how did I think that this was like a crazy playland, you know, like anything I could imagine happened down there, you know? And now it's just like, all right, there's enough room for like a couch and a TV and a couple of small bedrooms. Okay, we're gonna turn this way, away from the crazy dog. Apollo's so, like, he's so quiet. He doesn't bark at all. He's just more curious. So, what you're seeing now, we're coming back up on the street that we were walking kind of adjacent to, and the church is here on the right. So let's walk over there. I hope the stabilization's okay. I'm trying my best to kind of have a loose, bouncy hand. But yeah, that's the church. It looks like somebody's there. So that's the one car. There's parking there and then parking along the front. But this is St. Nicholas Catholic Church. And this is the church that I grew up at or with. And so did my parents, and my grandparents all went here. Both my grandparents, the majority of our family members, that have passed on, funeral services have been held here. So it's mixed emotions for me. There's a lot of fun memories I have of this place, but more recently it's like I only really see people here, family here, when we're saying goodbye to somebody. So it's a little mixed bag. But you have the main church there. The next door over is their little kind of rec hall where you'd go after church to get like coffee and snacks and stuff. And then the last house is where a couple of the nuns used to live. I don't know if they do that anymore, but then our catechism classes were in that house in the basement. So it's like 3 buildings. So yeah, let's walk this way. Come on, buddy. Let's go. Apollo, what did I say? Come on. He really likes something over there. So this is the Platteville Library. So usually I was thinking about it on the way here. I'm like, the library was so like ingrained in my childhood, especially during the summers. And I wonder if it's like that for kids anymore. Kids these days. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. But yeah, this is the library. And this actually wasn't the library all the time. This was like the hot new, it looks so small. When I was a kid, this thing felt like massive. So this was the hot new library when I was like in elementary school. They built this 10 to 6 and 10 to 2. Because the old library was right here. So this was the old library and they converted it into a museum. I think it was funded by the city. And my brother is actually one of the curators and caretakers here at the library, or at the museum. So my mom was like, well, do you want Luis just to let you in? He's got the keys. And I was like, no, that'll be a whole video to itself because there's a lot of family history in there. So I'd love to show you sometime. Just photos and memorabilia and just artifacts and stuff. And a lot of it's been donated by my family because we've just been here for so long. So, yeah, so new library, fancy and new. I remember when they first had their computer lab built and we'd have to sign up for 30-minute blocks to use the internet. And we would all just like flock to the library in the summer to get on Neopets for like 30 minutes at a time. This is an old pioneer house that was relocated here at a certain point. It was saved from like one of the farms or something. So there's little like, we can get closer. They've got it like, ooh, there's a creepy doll in there. They've got, ooh, there's several creepy dolls. Oh God. But they've got that all set up. Yeah, okay, Apollo, let's get out of here. That was creepy. So let's go this way. So behind the Pioneer Museum and behind the library is another park. And this was a park that I started frequenting more once we lived on this side of town, and we'll walk over to that house. Hey, buddy, nope, that's poop. Come on. So this was the park that I frequented more as like a young adult. So this was like middle school, high school time. We'd come hang out back here and hang out on that jungle gym. I'm just thinking about all the terrible stuff we did as kids. Not terrible, but like pranks and stuff. I'm like, do I really want to share that? I don't think I do. But yeah, so, and then we also had a lot of family events back here, like little like get-togethers and birthday parties and mini reunions. And in fact, we have a family reunion this year in August, and the first day will be held at this park. So maybe I'll take some photos. You can meet some of my family members. Come on, let's go. Let's go. So yeah, that's where that is. And I'll show you one more spot. I don't know how good this place is anymore, but I'll show you it anyway. And as you can tell, Lincoln Park. You know, my childhood was not, I mean, I was happy. We did okay, but like, I did not live any sort of like charmed life, you know. I grew up in like a railroad town out in the plains of Colorado, so, but it was fun. I have a lot of fond memories, you know. Not everything was sunshine and rainbows by any means, but it was, by all accounts, a good upbringing. So, come on. Oh God, we're gonna have to fjord here. Do you wonder how deep this is? I think we're gonna, we're jumping it. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Don't mess me up. I swear to God, if this dog knocks me off. It's not even that deep. What am I doing? Apollo, please don't try to kill me. Okay. Oofda. Okay, so coming up here, are you tangled? Hold on just a second, sorry. Okie dokie. So this house here, coming up on the right, is my great grandparents' house. And it's really a bummer because there used to be a whole line of trees all the way down here, completely, you couldn't even see the house, and shrubbery and bushes, and it was just so green and lush. And then the house was obviously in a lot better shape. I only stayed the night here a couple of times because my mom and my great grandmother weren't like, I mean, they're family, of course, but not like super close. So I almost feel like it was kind of last resort. Like, if no one else can watch Anthony tonight, let me see if great grandma can. And I always remember feeling really awkward staying there. And I just remember, like, she also seemed really uncomfortable. Like, why are you here? And she would always like mix up my name, and I think it was on purpose. But yeah, there was a garden here. This was all kind of walled off in like greenery, and now it's all gone. The house has not been lived in decades. It's just kind of literally just decaying. I'm assuming if they ever decide to sell the property, if the family does, then it will be demolished. It's just, I think it's at a no turning back point. But no one's lived there because she moved out of that home when she got to a certain age and lived with one of her daughters, one of my great aunts. And so I honestly don't even know. I don't know how long it's been since someone actually has lived in that house. But anyway, so this is the new City Hall building, new-ish, like new as in, 20 years or so. And if you keep going down that road, there's some more houses and stuff, and then it just peters out into like a bunch of open fields. So this, to me, is kind of the majority of the end of town. And earlier when we were walking up the street by the trailer park, that's the same street. It just runs all the way down. So this is kind of like the edge of town, in my eyes, at least for businesses and stuff. And when I was a kid, this was kind of no man's land. Like, I didn't go past this street just because there was nothing really for me here. And the speed limit on this road is higher, so it's just didn't feel as safe. So yeah, this was kind of like the edge of town. You can see the police cars. There's a new something over there. I don't remember what that is. I don't know if it's something governmental, that building back there, but that's new. I don't know what that is. And then this 7-Eleven up here, when they built that, it was like a few years ago. I remember being like, what? Oh my God, a 7-Eleven? And then this is the third set of lights in town. And that's it. Fire station. Yeah, there's nothing too much more over here. I can't remember if it's this far down or not. The last house that we lived in, I don't know if it's, nope, it's right here. I was gonna say, I don't think it was further out of town than this. It's not. It's right on the cusp. So we're gonna cross this street and not get hit, Apollo. But yeah, this 7-Eleven's brand new, well, new-ish, couple years. And I was like, oh my word, we're really up and coming. So now we're headed back down the main drag, and this is where we'll see the majority of like the businesses and stuff. So you'll see what the old downtown used to look like, and that'll be kind of the finale. I don't know if I'll be intercutting any diamond painting with this. I'd like to, but I just don't know. I'm not gonna make any promises. If I can set up the camera to cut in some stuff, I definitely will. Let's go. I think the sidewalk kind of disappears. So there's this church here, and then next to it is this house. We were renting the house from this church. I don't want to get, it's Sunday, so I don't want to get busted, but there's no sidewalk. Come on. I don't even know the name of this church or what denomination it is, because we moved here when I was a sophomore going into my junior year, just for the 1 year. And I just remember not liking it and wanting to not live next to the church. It felt really weird. But I'm not kidding when I say next to the church. I'll show you. Hold on. I think I mentioned this in another, I'm sure I have. But here's the church, right? There's the house. So they literally share the same, like, we would park in the church parking lot right here or in the back, and then there's the front door. So we lived in that house. Oh my gosh, it's so much smaller than I remember it. Wow. That was my mom's bedroom and my parents' bedroom up front there, and then ours was downstairs. There's like a full basement. I thought I was so, like, it seemed like a big house. Okay, Apollo, let's flip around because we're gonna go downtown this way. That's so funny when you're younger, things seem so much bigger. But yeah, I remember my stepdad and us, like, on Sundays, because we didn't go to this church, whatever it is, we didn't go here. So I remember on Sundays we would have to, like, really awkwardly kind of slink our way out of the house if we wanted to leave on Sunday, because this whole parking lot was packed, and like people would be like looking at us like, heathens, you don't even go here. It's like, no, we're going to a different church. Platteville United Methodist is the name of that church, but we did not go there. Okay, let's go this way. So yeah, that's all of the houses that I lived at here in town, except for one, but it's in a subdivision kind of a little bit outside of town, and I don't feel like driving over there. And it was a townhouse, and I don't really remember which one it was, so even if I went over there, I'd be giving you a rough estimate of where we were. So we'll just leave it. So yeah, this is a dog-centric town. And I'm so glad I brought my boots, because we're walking through like just tons of melted snow. Come on. Okay, back to it. So on your right, that brick building there, that is the post office. So that's exciting. Just lots of little back alleyways and stuff. Like I said, you can see the grain silos off in the distance. You can't really see the mountains when you're in town, but you get a good shot of the foothills from this far, kind of northeast, because there's not a lot of tall buildings or anything. So yeah, and we might run into some pedestrians. This is literally like the main intersection in town. This is Main Street and Marion Avenue. So this is big time right here. This is the city. So this used to be a hardware store. It's now a massage parlor. Massage? Is that the right word? I don't know. That over there where it says El Vergilito, that was a grocery store back there called Thrifty Foods that I used to go to all the time with my little pocket money. Let's go walk over there. I'm curious. This used to be, now it's a heating and cooling place. It was a hairdresser salon, a hair salon. There's a Mexican restaurant right there. I think it's a bar as well. And let's see. Recreation Inn. So this was Thrifty Foods grocery store. I have no idea what it is anymore. But yeah, this was my grocery store to go to and buy a bunch of candy I didn't need. And I remember one of the cool things, even though like I didn't, obviously too young to smoke, but they had their cigarettes like suspended from the ceiling in this like plastic like dispenser thing. You know how when you go into more stores now, they're on the ground on a shelf? These are like floating above them, almost like ceiling cabinets. And I just remember anytime that someone would go in there and get smokes, I thought it was so cool to see them like have to like flick them out of that's the ceiling or like above. I don't know why I thought that was interesting, but I did. So let's go up one block and then maybe we'll go down this alley. How are you liking this tour, Apollo? You seem to be enjoying yourself, you little snow dog. Ow, wow, wow. Ow, wow, wow. Okay, so this is Doubletree. Wonder if it's open. So this is the restaurant I was hoping to take us to. I'll have to look at the hours, or if it's completely closed down, I don't know. Closed. Oh, they're closed on Sundays. That used to not be the case. Oh well, that's okay. Honestly, I heard that it's not as, I don't think it was ever good, but it's definitely not as good as I remember it. But it's called Doubletree. Let me turn around. Because of the twin trees out front. So if you walk in there, that's the coffee shop entrance. Hey, no, I don't know what that is. So there's like a 50s kind of style diner, and then this is the restaurant entrance. So it's kind of like steakhouse style, really old school, like divey kind of steakhouse, hasn't been remodeled since the 70s. And then back here, they serve all clientele. So back here is the lounge, and that's that dive bar that I was telling you about. And then here is the offices. So that's where I worked for a summer. Didn't particularly like it. There was a surprising amount of drama at that place. We can walk through this parking lot. So yeah, this was the Doubletree parking lot. So imagine, this place never got full enough to fill up this parking lot. I can promise you that. At least not when I was working there, which was in high school. And this was a little coffee / sandwich shop. See that tiny little house with a couple little tables? It was just a little coffee shack and snack shop. They had some pretty good gelato in there from what I remember. And now, I don't know what it is, but I want to get away from the highway. This is the highway that connects Platteville, Gilchrist, and LaSalle. So I'd get picked up from the middle school, we'd hop on the highway and go into the next town. And that was fine, getting bused that far to go to school, like it was just part of our lives. But when the weather was really bad and they hadn't canceled school, oh, that was so scary, being on a pretty busy highway on the bus in the blizzard or super foggy conditions. We saw like a lot of not a lot, but a couple pretty bad accidents on our way to school. It's not fun all the time, but otherwise it was kind of like almost like a little social hour, because it's probably about a 15-minute drive on a bus each way. So we kind of like got to chit chat and stuff. And yeah, I know that some people spend a lot, or some kids spend a lot more time on the bus than that, but because it wasn't picking us up at the house, it was like everyone meet at the middle school and then we'll take you. So yeah, but hold on just. Okay, well, we missed a little bit, but you can see there's the post office down there. We went up and around and now we're over here. But there's a Mexican restaurant, there's the laundromat there, and then there's a little Hispanic market right there. And then there's a gym, the Main Street Gym, which used to be a church where that white patch is. So now we've got Apollo sniffing. Hey buddy, let's go this way. Oh boy. And then coming up here we have the Cracked Egg, which is a breakfast and lunch diner. It's been a number of different diners since I was a kid. They, for whatever reason, never seem to last incredibly long, and then someone else comes up and starts it again. It was called like Grandma's Place or Grandma's Diner for a while. New Orleans style beignets. Interesting. They are closed. So yeah, I don't know if it's even still in business anymore, to be honest. Come on, buddy. Come on. He's more aggressively sniffing now. It's like, sir, if you're not going to let me off leash, then I'm going to call my own shots. Well, this house is for sale. So I mentioned that there was that kid in high school who had one of the fancy houses. That's it. So where you see those solar panels sticking up, there's a indoor pool back there, all nice and heated. He thought he was so cool. I'm just kidding. Oh my word. Jeez Louise. I feel like we're playing Oregon Trail today. Okay, this way. So yeah, I think I'm trying to think if there's any other places that I want to necessarily show you that are within walking distance. Hold on. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm absolutely gonna fall. We still got our Christmas decorations up. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that there really is to see in Platteville. That's literally the town. I mean, we skipped some other like little side portions, but that is, we covered the majority of the town. So we're back on Main Street, headed back up. So if we keep walking, which we will, we'll get up there. We're gonna get back to the middle school, the elementary school, and then back to my mom's house. So yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. Let me know if you liked this little tour. I've been wanting to do it, and I mentioned it. I don't remember when I mentioned it. At one point I went on a hike and was like, one of these days I'll take you into town, but we just don't have time today. Well, today's the day. Yeah, I kind of do wish Doubletree was open so I could show you the inside of that. At least one of the local dives, but it seems like they can't sustain us being open 7 days a week, which is understandable. I know a lot of people here are not, and this was the same when I was a kid, like there isn't enough local business here unless you're in railroad or farming. There's a Bigfoot statue right here and Apollo is freaking out. It's okay. To sustain people working and living and just kind of really just, living within the local economy, that's just not how this place has ever been, at least not while I've been alive. My grandfather's generation was probably the last that was working the railroad right here in town, and started and ended his routes and trips and stuff from here. And I think that's kind of a dying breed. So unless you're in like local government or you run one of the few businesses here, most people, even when I was growing up, when you wanted to go to get dinner or you wanted to go to the store, you didn't go to any of the small local places. Like you made the trip 30 minutes south or 30 minutes north to go to a Walmart or like a chain restaurant or something like that. It was very rare. There was less than a handful of times that my mom would take us to like the Doubletree in earnest, like we're having a meal here. I just went because I didn't have a car growing up until I was of age to have one. So that's really the majority of the times I would go to Doubletree, is like my cousins would be sleeping over and we were like, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hold on. There's this car here. I'll just pan over. So yeah, this is the middle school again. We were on the other side of that field. So yeah. Okay, let's go. So yeah, like 10, 11, 12, 13, probably all the way into high school, if they'd sleep over, we would always stay up really late playing video games or playing with Connects or playing on the computer, playing Roller Coaster Tycoon or something. And then we'd still get up extra early because I don't know, I always liked feeling adult and feeling like, let's just go get breakfast. Like that's the kind of kid I was, is like I liked pretending that like I was like having a day, you know? So we would wake up early and walk over the DoubleTree, me and my cousins, and get like cinnamon rolls and coffee and just hang out for the morning and then go back to the house and start playing video games again. So that's usually when I'd go there. Or if I really wanted ice cream and we didn't have any in the house, I'd be like, Mom, I'll be right back. Or if she was working or something, and I'd just go get a scoop of ice cream, because they used to have their own ice cream, like commercial ice cream machines, and they'd churn their own ice cream. And they had this one that was White House, and it was like walnuts with maraschino cherries. It sounds weird, but it was really good. And then they had a blackberry cheesecake that was so good. And then they also had a grasshopper pie, which was like a brownie with mint chocolate chip ice cream and then like hot fudge and whipped cream on top. And that was so good. That was so good as well. But here we are. Here's the front of the middle school again. Here is the park with the skate park attached. So we're almost back to the house. So yeah, that's Platteville, Colorado for you. Spent the majority of my childhood, and I mean, we didn't move out of Platteville formally or for good until my junior year of high school is when we moved out to the farm. Maybe I should drive up. Nah, I don't want to do that. So maybe I'll drive up to the farm. I don't even know if it's still around, but there was a farmhouse that we lived in for a year out in the middle of nowhere between here and Gilchrist. And so that I would have to get, my mom would have to drive me to school, or my stepdad, until I got my license. And then senior year, we moved to the big city. We moved to Greeley, which is north of LaSalle. And that's kind of one of the bigger cities in Weld County. So I went there for my senior year and then moved to Denver for college. And I moved back to Greeley for my second year of college. And then I moved to Hawaii and then moved back home, and then just like around Denver since then. So yeah, it's been, you know, since 2002 that I've 21 years ago. Oh my god that I lived here in earnest, like full time. Holy moly, I am getting up there. 21 years ago. Ugh. Well, I'm still kicking. Apollo's like, yeah, not fast enough. All right, well, I think I'll let you go. Like I said, if I can manage to sneak in some time lapses, I haven't even talked about any sort of diamond painting stuff this time, but I hope that's okay. But yeah, if I can work in some shots of Marie Laveau or Head of Medusa, I absolutely will do that. Otherwise, I think this is just gonna be a little kind of special edition non-diamond painting vlog situation. But, you know, as usual, thank you so much for watching and for your support of this channel and all that good stuff. At least at the time of filming this, I know there's been some stuff going on, and yeah, I don't know. I just want to thank everyone for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this content with friends, family members, anyone that you think might take some value out of this content. Otherwise, stay tuned for my intention is to do a whip and chat at some point this week, like another sit down, and then I have a 1 month update for Head of Medusa video that I'd like to film, just kind of a cross stitch series update, and unboxings, you know, the drill, the fun stuff. So yeah, I'll let you go. Thanks so much again for watching, and as always, happy placing. Bye, 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 bye. Say bye.